So welcome to today's masterclass, how to get your first executive coaching client, even if you don't have a big network. Now, if you do have a big network, that's wonderful. You're going to run into other problems that I'll also share. So this is relevant to you whether you have a big network or not. It's just that when I started my coaching practice, I had no network at all. I'll explain why shortly. And so I want to share with you what it takes to really get an executive coaching practice started, especially that first client. Today's webinar is for those of you who are considering joining the Center for Executive Coaching. You're welcome to be here. Of course, if you're a member of the Center for Executive Coaching, I think you'll find some of the content helpful. But primarily, I do these webinars to give you a sense of our content, my style, what we're all about, so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not we might be a good fit for you. We have a seminar coming up. You can always join our distance learning program. We're an International Coaching Federation accredited coach training provider. We also provide training for the board certified coach certification. You can learn more on our website, and I'll give you a little bit of a tour of our member area after this is over, so you can decide whether you want to stay or not for that. But you know, ideally, if you're interested in getting into executive coaching and you'd like to talk more about whether our program is a fit, just reach out to me. Website is centerforexecutivecoaching.com. You can reach out on the subject in the contact us link anytime. Okay. So here's what we're going to cover today. First, some introductions, and then I'm going to take you through 7 steps to get your first client and keep that client for a long time. I won't take you through what those steps are now because that's what the presentation is about. And then I want to share with you a little bit about the Center for Executive Coaching and how we can help your success if you're interested in sticking around for that part. I can also take any questions you have at that time as well. Here's some introductions. My name's Andrew Neitlich. I'm the director and founder of the Center for Executive Coaching, have been since pretty early in the 2000s. We're almost at our 20-year mark. I started my coaching practice about 2 decades ago. In my case, it took me 1 year to replace my salary as a burning out, unhappy management consultant, and kept getting better and better to the point where I was making more than many partners, if not all partners, in my previous firm with a way better quality of life. Coaching has allowed me to work with fantastic leaders on their most pressing issues. I get to choose how I use my time. I played tennis this morning, taking my daughter to a basketball game this evening. I choose my clients. I got to pursue my dream of writing books, wrote 3 guerrilla marketing books with the late J. Conrad Levinson. I've published some books, self-published some books. I've spoken around the world, which was also part of my dream. I make a terrific income, and I just feel blessed. I feel like I'm one of the few who's found work that I love to do, and I don't see the need to retire. I just love doing what I'm doing. I might also add, a lot of people wonder about COVID. I found that COVID has opened up more opportunities. That is, I work, the reason you see this photo on the left, it's a car ferry. And the car ferry is how you get to one of the places that I work, which is on an island on the west coast of Florida called Palm Island. You can only get there by a car ferry. It's not very accessible. The nearest highway is not too close. And so basically, I work from an island in the middle of nowhere. I have clients from around the world talking to me about a variety of issues where they're looking for coaching. This is an amazing time because of everything having gone online to establish yourself, not just as a local expert, but a national and or international expert. At the same time, I found that the companies that have been successful during COVID, and there's been many, continue to hire coaches. And now that we're coming out of it, coaching continues to grow. I'm even seeing coaching in demand in areas I never thought it would be in demand before, such as the United States military, where I'm doing some work and where they are working with coaches quite a bit. Okay, so that's me. Let's talk briefly about the Center for Executive Coaching. We're an ICF accredited ACTP. If you know what the International Coaching Federation is, we provide the easiest, most efficient pathway to get one of their designations. We specialize. We don't let anybody into our program. We're exclusive. We want to be a small program, a boutique program. We want to be the best. We don't want to be the biggest. So our members are high-end professionals, already successful, very dynamic, very smart, although many come from different walks of life and types of education. And they have a passion for mentoring, coaching, and developing people to be better. So if this describes you, we should definitely talk. There could be a fit. Our members have a track record of success. I believe that to be an executive coach, you have to earn the right. And so we have our members coming from leadership in very well-known top organizations from around the world, entrepreneurs. Many have advanced education in psychology, law, medicine, business, organizational development. And we get quite a few people who have an existing professional practice, whether they're already coaches and they realize that their coach training program was a little bit more lightweight or life coaching, and they want to really hone in on the executive and leadership coaching market, or they're consultants, speakers, trainers, and they want to add coaching to what they do. What sets us apart and why people come to us, aside from the people we attract, is that we're famous for personalized ongoing support. With us, you're always a member. We don't call you a student. You're always a member. You don't pay extra to be a member or to use our services after you graduate. And because we're practical and results driven, everything we do is proven, practical, and results driven. And we give you an unmatched suite of coaching solutions and toolkits that get results for clients. Clients in this market demand results. You can't just sit down and ask never-ending open-ended questions like a lot of the other programs teach. You have to have efficient methodologies that get results and provide a return on the client's investment in time and their organization's investment in money, or their, if they pay out of pocket, their investment. Okay, so that's who we are. The way I really like to introduce myself is with testimonials about the success of our members. So here you can see a graduate saying, since attending the Center for Executive Coaching 12 months ago, I'm now coaching 19 executive leaders, CEOs, emerging senior level leaders, 20% family business successors, even one bishop overseeing 240 churches. Another signed right after graduating. I think he proposed a $500,000 contract. He got half of it. So he signed a $250,000 contract. That's not how I do things. I tend to start with a $20,000 to $25,000 coaching engagement. So he was quite tenacious, and congratulations to him. The next individual you see signed a 3-year coaching engagement with a health system that's in the 6 or even 7 figures, he's told me. And yet another graduate signed close to $100,000 engagement. So that's how we introduce ourselves, really. We want you to succeed. If you're an external coach, if you're an internal coach, we want to hear that you're making a difference, that the organization you work for sees you as a strategic asset, not just overhead. Okay. So let's talk briefly, let me give you some context about the executive and leadership coaching market, and then let's dive into how to get your first client. All right, and again, we're using the chat. Anytime you have a question, please feel free to ask away. So where we stand now, right? There was a time when coaching wasn't well known. It was the Wild West. This is now a wonderful time to get into the market. It's been proven. Executive coaching, leadership coaching has been proven as a professional development strategy that works. It's experiencing continued growth in the market. Return on investment studies show that for every dollar invested, there's up to an $8 return on investment. There's been enough studies that have proven the efficacy of coaching. And when combined with training, often organizations see up to 4 times the results of training alone, which makes intuitive sense, right? Because coaching allows you to follow up after a training to make sure the results, the knowledge, the skills stick. And it continues to grow and be an accepted form of leadership and professional development. Well over half of Fortune 500 companies rely on coaching as a standard professional development tool. My niche happens to be below the Fortune 500 in size. I really like the growing organizations. I can work directly with the decision maker. It's the sales cycle is much more straightforward, and there's millions and millions of those. There's something like 14 million small to mid-sized businesses in the United States alone. There's only 500 Fortune 500 companies, and there's tons of competition, especially at the top. So I found a wonderful market in that small, growing, mid-sized company space. You can coach leaders at all levels. So I'm going to use the terminology executive with executive coaching, but here we're talking about coaching anyone at the C-suite, right? CEO, COO, CFO, senior leaders, middle managers, up and coming talent, first-time managers, career transitions, entrepreneurs, business owners, and so on, okay? Even solo professionals. You can coach leaders at all levels in all types of organizations, right? Big, mid-sized, small for-profits. I got my start with nonprofits, worked with some small ones and some very large ones, some international ones. Federal, state, and local government are investing in coaching. Educational institutions, both for-profit, not-for-profit, K through 12, university and college, and again, solo professionals. So there's tons of opportunity. You get to pick where you feel most comfortable and with whom you feel you can make the biggest difference. And there's lots of situations. In fact, when you join the Center for Executive Coaching, you're going to get over 1,000 pages of coaching solutions that handle these different situations. But typically clients will come to you for general professional development, how to communicate and influence with more impact. Some will have some sort of behavioral blind spot that could derail their career if they don't correct it. Shifting perceptions that might be holding them back, limiting beliefs, for instance. Resolving conflict, whether on their teams or that they're having. Engaging employees is a huge area of coaching. Leading teams, navigating change, planning and executing strategy. Succeeding in a new role. That's a lot of my practice lately. I'm getting calls from a lot of people, for instance, in a chief operating officer role who are moving to chief executive officer. I'm working with a young leader who's taking the family business over and soon and has to prepare for that role. Creating a high-performing culture, developing a pipeline of leaders, succession planning, overcoming overwhelm, getting control of priorities and time, and on and on. Okay, so there's tons of opportunities. And there's also almost unlimited niches, okay? The top ones today, technology, scientific, and clinical leaders, almost anything technology and healthcare, because there's a ton of leaders in those areas that have wonderful technical skills, but maybe haven't learned those critical skills related to leadership. Professional service firms, knowledge workers, succeeding in a new role, owners of growing businesses and family-owned businesses especially. I see a lot of demand in financial services, banks, investment banks, new fintech organizations, nonprofits and education, military leaders, returning military as well, teams, high potential, and I'd say change initiatives. These are some of the top niches I'm seeing today in terms of particularly solutions and industries. Okay, before we start, are there any questions about what I just covered? Then I'll take you through how to get your first client once you start or decide you're going to jump in. Everything makes sense so far? I'll give it just a 3 count. Maybe type into the chat any questions you have. But it seems like I'm seeing that things are okay. So let's talk about how to get your first client. So first of all, that photo is not me, but that could have been me way back when I started my practice. And, you know, my first 6 months, just, you know, what I was working for a management consulting firm. I had shifted my role to work from home, take over the training and development role there. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to wake up at 5 a.m. and get on a plane, come back Thursday evening. I didn't want the intensity and just it felt like a bunch of workaholics at that place. And that wasn't me. I was about to get married, have a family. So I needed to make a transition. I also couldn't rely on the network I had through that firm because that would be a conflict of interest and I didn't want to compete with them. So I really had to start fresh. I had to recreate a network. I had to find what I was all about. And I messed up. My first 6 months were horrendous. And basically my positioning was what you see on the screen here. I'm a leadership coach. I'm really smart. I can solve any problem you face. Tell me, what issues do you face? That was pretty much it. 6 months, I'm guessing 250 rejections. I don't know what the real number was. Back then for me, I was pretty thin-skinned. Any rejection felt like 20 rejections probably does today. But 0 clients, that's the most important, that was the most important number, right? And this is interesting because when I look at websites of coaches today, especially those who don't join our program, you see this, I'm a leadership coach, contact me. Here's a list of 20 problems I can solve for you. Give me a call. You're not going to get calls if you do that. It's not going to work. You're too much of a generalist. It's very poor positioning. For me, the light turned on when I was having coffee with a potential referral source. I don't even remember her name, but I owe her an incredible debt. Maybe others told me this, but she was the first one. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, I know you're smart. I know you've had a good career, but based on how you're talking about what you do, I have no idea who to refer you to. And that was it. That was where I had to get smart, and I made some changes. And again, within a year, I knew that I was going to make more than I was making as a consultant, with a much better quality of life and really enjoying what I was doing quite a bit more. Okay. By the way, the way I knew that coaching was what I wanted to do is that my consulting clients told me. I would spend time with a team of 5 analysts, fresh off the boat from top schools. And we would benchmark these clients and show them all sorts of opportunities. And time again, the clients would say, this makes sense. I kind of knew this answer. And once I had a client who specifically said, yep, this is exactly what I thought the results would be. And I said to the client, I get this a lot. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you brought us in if you already knew the answer? And this client said, Andrew, I don't need your team of analysts. I kind of, I may not be as precise as your math is, but I know what we need to do. The hard part is doing it. I need someone like you that I can sit down with, that I trust, that's objective, that doesn't have an agenda, that's not trying to take my job or make me look bad. And I just want to talk to you. I need a sounding board. I need someone who can essentially coach me through the very difficult challenges and decisions I face. I know intellectually what I have to do. I need someone to talk to. So anyway, that's how I knew coaching was what I wanted to do. And I knew there was demand for it, but I acted like an idiot my first 6 months with this kind of positioning and got nothing. So here's what you have to do to get your first client. And this is what I had to do as well. Step 1, before anything, you have to be a fantastic coach. Okay. There was a time when if you had a good track record, you could hang a shingle and, maybe you were a better salesperson than I certainly was, and you could get clients. That was 20 years ago. That market is long gone. It is no longer the Wild West. There are now established core competencies and processes, like how to set up an engagement, how to track results, how to report results, expectations of the clients, for instance, about confidentiality. You need to be skilled in these core competencies. But you also have to go beyond those core competencies, right? The people who join us have aspirations to be in that top 5% or better in the coaching world, because clients in executive and leadership coaching expect that you have a practical path to get results and help them with their most pressing challenges. Okay. So step 1 is be an excellent coach. And I assume that's why you're here. I assume most of you are here because you're considering getting into executive coaching. That's what our organization does. We're going to help you be a successful executive coach. In fact, just briefly, one of the things you get with our program is over 1,000 pages of coaching solutions, right? Covering just about every issue that a client's going to have, right? Everything from behavioral coaching, communicating simply and powerfully, improving relationships up, down, and across the organization, planning and executing strategy, executing effectively, leadership presence, getting grounded on what matters most through the leader's dashboard, career coaching, business coaching, etc. With us, you get proven methodologies. You need those today. You have to be an excellent coach. You have to know how to have conversations, coaching conversations that drive the client forward without wasting their time, without having them roll their eyes, without cringeworthy jargon like you get at so many other programs. So step 1, you can't get into the market anymore unless you just need to be an excellent coach. Okay. 2, there is a mindset, especially if you're starting a practice, right? An external practice. There is a mindset that's required for success. I think the reason I was able to struggle for 6 months is because I had that mindset, and I still do. This is of all the things that you're going to see in today's presentation, this is probably the one thing that I had right. I didn't mind getting knocked down. I'd get back up, right? This is a business. If you're going to start a practice, it's a business like any other. It requires the mindset of an entrepreneur, of a champion, of a winner. And you have to be prepared. There's 3 phases in any business startup. And the first phase is what we'll call kickstart. Kickstart feels like you are rolling a boulder up a hill, like Sisyphus, right? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Just you keep trying to roll this boulder up a hill. You're putting 10 units in, maybe you get 1 unit of result out. It can be really frustrating. And so I just want to be honest with you about that. By the way, it doesn't have to be this hard. We have a number of people, as you saw in the initial testimonials, they get clients while they're in the program. But I want you to be prepared, right? We're going to give you everything we can to make it as easy as possible for you to get that first client. But I want you to go in with the mindset that you are prepared to put 10 units in to get 1 unit out. By the way, the other 2 phases, are the next phase we could call the momentum phase, right? Now it feels like you're on top of a flat mountain, a butte, if you will, where you put 1 unit in, you get 1 unit out. The boulder rolls much more easily. And the best phase of all is the acceleration phase. That's where it feels like you're rolling the boulder down the hill. You put a unit in, you get 4 or 5 units back. Why? In the case of a coaching or professional services business, because you're getting great referrals, right? You work with a client, they love your work, they're sending you more work. But in the beginning, be ready. You have to keep getting back up and learning. It's a business like any other. Don't get in if you don't understand this. We will show you how, both the business development and how to be a good coach. We'll show you how to sell without feeling like you're selling, but you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to take that no, all right? A no is not personal. When someone gives you a no, it is a gift, especially compared to a client that kind of keeps asking questions, keeps asking for more info, keeps saying maybe. I have a client like that now. It's one of the top 3 largest companies in the world right now. They're thinking of bringing me in. I'm getting a lot of these polite babies. Very, very frustrating. Right? What I need to do, and I know how to do it, is have conversations where I tell them, look, I'd rather have a no than what we're doing here. A no is not personal. You can't take it that way, right? So you have to be ready for that. The other piece of having the right mindset, a lot of coaches hide behind something. Like, I need to put up the perfect website, then I'll launch. I need to write a book, then I'll launch. You can't hide behind a desk, a website, a book writing, a blog, any of that. You have to get out there and be willing to have conversations with people. And today it's great because you can have conversations with people all over the world. They don't need you to fly to them or drive to their office. The good news, again, is a couple of clients can lead to a full practice, right? After my first year, once I got some clients, I could track back my pretty full practice to my first 2 clients. So as long as you're delivering great value and results, it actually gets much easier once you get a couple of clients. Okay. Any questions so far? 1, be an excellent coach. 2, the mindset is absolutely critical. I can coach you on the mindset if you slip out of it, but before you join any kind of program or think about starting a practice, you got to have this mindset. Okay. Great book to read is Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. Anti-fragile. He says the opposite of fragility is not resilience, it's anti-fragility, where you actually get stronger with failure. Okay. 3. All right, now you're ready to go. My mistake was I didn't position myself powerfully. One of my mistakes, right? I am a leadership coach. Not powerful. I graduated from this school, not powerful. In fact, anything that starts with I, not powerful. If you want to succeed, you're going to have to position yourself powerfully. Okay? This is one of the biggest positioning mistakes that coaches in the market today make. Right? I'm a leadership coach. I'm an executive coach. I'm a life coach. Hire me. No, doesn't work that way. And just to give you some psychological reason for why it doesn't work this way, imagine your sink is clogged. Who do you call? If your sink is clogged, who do you call? You call a plumber. The problem in the leadership and executive world is, first of all, people don't know when their metaphorical sink is clogged. That is when they have a leadership problem, especially one of their own. They don't know. And two, when they do know, they don't equate it to executive coach the way that we equate a clogged drain to plumber. That doesn't exist. So if you're going to get out there in the market, what I recommend you do, and what we teach, is don't sell coaching, sell solutions to a problem. Become the go-to professional in your market for a problem that you solve. Once you can fill in the statements that you see on this page, everything will flow for you as it did for me, right? You need to be able to say, I help X to get Y, where X is a very, very specific type of leader or executive or decision maker, and Y is a benefit, a solution to a problem that they have. For example, my first two were as follows. I help nonprofit leaders work with their boards to create strategies or strategic plans that actually get implemented, that actually get executed, right? What I found in the market was, in the nonprofit market, what the biggest complaint I would hear, one of them anyway, was that executive directors would say, you know, we have a board with 12 people and we have 36 different ideas about strategy. We can't get strategy to happen. And so I knew there was an opportunity there. And once I figured that out, everything flowed. I got my first couple of clients in the nonprofit realm. And I did that by giving a talk at a nonprofit association. My second one was with a tech leader. Again, I had given a speech, and a technology leader of a $10 million company, the owner of the company, came up to me after, said, great talk. I love technology. I built my company on technology. I can't stand dealing with people. I really don't know how to do it. Can you coach me on that? And that told me my second, I help X to get Y, which is I help technology leaders go from brilliant technologist to brilliant people leader, right? Or I help technology leaders scale their business through people, was another way I'd sometimes say it. You know, there are other ways to write this formula. You could say X comes to me when they want Y, or when they struggle with Z, right? So you could state it as, people come to me, you know, specific types of people, not just leaders, you know, technology leaders, nonprofit leaders, healthcare executives, creative leaders, come to me when they struggle with something that the client would say, right? Don't use buzzwords, don't use jargon. Another problem that coaches have is they talk coach talk. You know, leaders come to me when they struggle with emotional intelligence. Please tell me you've ever met a leader who said, hey, here's my problem. I don't have emotional intelligence. I'm struggling with that. They don't do it, but coaches talk about that all the time. We tend to use buzzwords that alienate, scare, or otherwise just don't compel leadership. So we're going to show you, when you join our program, how to write good copy. And in fact, a good marketing message doesn't even talk about you. You shouldn't even use the word I until about 3/4 of the way through your marketing message, when you figure out the problem you solve. So eventually you're going to write a marketing message that's going to say, you know, here's a headline, and you start with a problem statement, right? Clients come to me because they're frustrated with the following. And you can list no more than 3 bullets about what they're frustrated with, what that costs them, both logically and emotionally. And then you segue to, it doesn't have to be this way. When you work with me, you're going to enjoy these benefits. From there, you can finally talk about yourself. You've earned the right. The person reading will be curious. Who are you? Why you? And so you tell them. And then you don't end with, call me, let's get started. You could include that, but you also want to give them some low risk, high value call to action. That's not just a request for a free consultation, like download this ebook or see this video series at no cost. So step 3, position yourself powerfully. By the way, in our program, we suggest you follow the 70-30 rule. You see there where it says commit 70% of your time, right? Focus in, be the dominant go-to professional in one niche for 70% of your time, but allow 30% of your time to be a generalist. See what comes your way. See what comes your way, all right? This, by the way, gets to whether you need a network or not. I think I didn't have a network, and so I was forced to be disciplined in choosing a couple of niches where I could position myself. I have met with lots of coaches who started with a good network, and that became actually a liability for them, because what happened was they would go to their network and say, I'm a leadership coach, can you hire me? And people in their network from many different industries and environments would hire them. But once these coaches exhausted their network, they were stuck. they hit a ceiling because they were still seen as generalists once they went outside their network. So sometimes having a network can actually be a detriment because people will hire you, they know you, but they're actually doing you a disservice because they're not forcing you to sharpen your positioning and go into the market strongly, right? So there's a lot of coaches in the market now, and I love that because I can beat all of them because I know how to position myself powerfully, and also because there's a lot of bad coaches in the market, even those who have designations from some of the coaching associations. So if you're going to get into this, be prepared to position yourself powerfully. Look where you've been, where you are, stories you can tell, results you've gotten, industries you know, types of people you know, and you're going to position yourself powerfully. You're going to find that X and how you can help them and the problem you solve, okay? I find I'm much more successful when I don't sell coaching, but rather look for problems that are realized, that are big, that are worth hiring an outsider like myself for, and I talk to them about how I can help them solve it. I ask questions to figure that out together. Okay, questions, comments? This is step 3. Okay, so far, be an excellent coach. Have the right mindset. Position yourself powerfully. This is all strategic stuff. Then we're going to move to getting visible. One of the reasons I don't think a franchise concept is a good idea in the coaching market is because a franchise is kind of forced to have a one-size-fits-all marketing solution for its coaches or for its franchisees. And the research shows this doesn't work. In fact, if you want proof or a source of this research, you should read Ford Harding's book, Rainmakers, and his other Creating Rainmakers. And what he demonstrates quite clearly is that every professional, consultant, coach, trainer, whatever, finds their own way to market. Having said that, there are 4, and I think only 4 broad strategies to get visible. Within these strategies, there's multiple tactics, but there's 4 ways to get visible, and we'll work with you to help you find the ones that fit best for your style. And these are the 4. The first is relationship marketing, right? Referrals, networking, forming alliances with complementary professionals, whether coaches or non-coaches, right? So in my own practice, I have alliances with somebody who offers assessments. I've had a great alliance with an investment banker / venture capitalist. He would bring me in to coach the leaders of his portfolio companies, places where he invested. I've had alliance with a HR consultant who would bring me in for coaching. So that's relationship marketing. We show you how to have conversations that don't feel forced or pushy, to get introductions, to open doors with the people in your network and to grow your network. Really important. There's nothing more powerful than this. It doesn't cost you anything except a little bit of time, and you're basing it on relationships. If you don't have a big network, as I didn't, I'm also, by the way, an introvert, right? It may not seem that way here where I'm a persona, but you know, there's a assessment that puts you on a bell curve of sociability, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 1, meaning I'm more than 2 standard deviations away from the mean. So what I did was find 5 or 6 people who were outstanding at relationship marketing, and I knew they trusted me, and they would refer people my way. I outsourced my relationship marketing, right? So you can get creative here. So Dina asks, in case we aren't in official leadership positions in our career yet, are we able to actually position ourselves and get credibility as executive or leadership coaches? Yes. Yes, we have to figure out what it is about you. What are your strengths? What do you bring to the table? Number 1. And number 2, official leadership positions means very different things. I'll bet you've been in a leadership position, and that can inform where you coach, maybe a type of industry, a result you got, right? But we have all sorts of people who weren't what you'd call traditional executives who are coaching. Some of them have backgrounds in psychology. We have attorneys, we have physicians. We have people who are mid-career coaching other up-and-comers. And we have people, you know, let's say millennials and the next generation sometimes are in positions of coaching people who are from different generations, and they can help bring a different perspective. So there's always opportunities. What we show you how to do is take your perceived negatives and turn them into strengths. while taking your competitors' perceived strengths and maybe turning those into negatives. For instance, let's say you don't have an MBA. Big deal. Lots of coaches don't. So how do you handle that in an organization that has lots of MBAs? You know, what I say is, big deal. You're telling me that your culture is not working, and yet you have thousands of MBAs. Wouldn't it be helpful to get a different perspective? The second is educational marketing. Educational marketing takes many, many forms. You know, it's essentially what you're doing is talking about a problem and how to solve it to an audience that cares about that problem. My first educational marketing was a seminar I led for nonprofit executive directors about how to create strategies that get results, that actually get executed, and that help the nonprofit achieve their mission. And 25 people came. 4 people came up to me after, 2 of them hired me. My practice was on the way. Educational marketing can mean posting informative articles on LinkedIn, creating videos online, webinars like this one, creating tools that you offer to clients for free. Educational marketing is amazing, and too many coaches don't use it. What educational marketing does is establish yourself as an expert, as a professional who does more than just ask never-ending questions, as someone who knows someone. You can do research. In fact, in our program, we will give you a specialty certification of your choosing if you do some research in your target market and present it as a paper. Like, here's a problem people in my target market face, and here's how coaching can help. We've had people do diversity and inclusion leadership coaching as a specialty certification, where they've done some wonderful research about what's really going on in diversity and inclusion. We've had technology leadership, healthcare leadership, manufacturing leadership, military leadership, some wonderful research that now these coaches can go out and present speeches on, they can write about, and so on. So that's educational marketing. One of the things we have is a whole, let me just flip to it quickly, is a whole set of business development documents. It's about 170, maybe 180 pages long, but you'll see there's a whole piece on educational marketing where we give you forms like how do you get a speech? How do you get permission to write an article? And what do you do once you're giving the speech to hook people in after? And you can see there's a whole thing here, everything from pricing to proposals, etc. Okay. Number 3, leadership roles. A lot of attorneys and accountants get just about all their clients just from one well-placed board of directors position at a nonprofit, right? So what we recommend is that you choose quality over quantity. Find a couple of organizations where you can be a leader, not just a member, but a leader, right? If it's your local chamber of commerce, get in there, get on a committee, get on the board. Maybe a local nonprofit where there's other decision makers who can open doors for you. Ideally, an industry association that targets the types of people you want to coach. And again, get on a committee, get on the board, do some research, speak, help to organize a conference, be a leader. That's the third one. The fourth is online marketing. Be careful here. This could be a rabbit hole or series of rabbit holes that could very much distract you. All right, you want a good LinkedIn presence. You can meet everybody you need to meet via LinkedIn. We even have a 1-hour webinar on how to do LinkedIn properly. You don't have to hire an expensive consultant to be successful on LinkedIn. Helps to have a good website. Helps to do a number of things online. You just don't want to fall into a trap of tons of time, very low return, where all you're looking at is how many likes you get instead of how many clients you get. So again, we walk you through that. But essentially, that's it. There's some overlap, right? You can do educational marketing through your online marketing efforts. Essentially, you need to find 5 tactics. If you can find 5 tactics that work for you, you're going to build a very successful practice. You're eventually going to get that first client. For instance, just as an example, for me, I didn't get any clients when I did keynote speeches. I got a lot of clients. As I said, 2 out of 25 clients was a pretty good average, I found. And I got that by doing these interactive seminars, now webinars. Keynote speeches I would do, and no one came up to me after, right? I'm not proud. I understand that probably means I'm not the best keynote speaker in the world. So now I get paid to do keynote speeches because I know I'm not going to get any clients, but I won't do them for free. So you'll figure it out. You got to think like you're a scientist working it out. You have to be willing to do these things. This is what I'm talking about, right? Remember we said be prepared to put 10 units in to get 1 unit out. This is where it's going to happen. You're going to have to try a lot of things and figure out what works and what doesn't. We will be there with you. I've rewritten people's marketing messages. I can help you avoid some pretty expensive mistakes. And by the way, none of this should cost you any money except perhaps a website. None of this should cost you any money. If you find that you're paying money to put this stuff out there, you're doing something wrong. That's one of the great advantages of a coaching business. There's almost no overhead, not much investment once you get yourself trained and certified as a coach. 5, have the right package and pricing. Okay, just a few pointers here. One is keep it simple, right? You should right away in your back pocket, when the client says, how do you like to work? You know, I'll ask the client, I'll say, what did you have in mind? But ultimately, I don't want them to have to guess. I always have one or well, maybe 2 solutions in mind. I always have as my default executive coaching engagement. For me, it's a 6-month engagement. There's certain assessments I do up front. We meet weekly, typically for the first 2 months. We can back off to every other month thereafter. You know, we're going to choose some goals where we can track results to make sure the client gets a return on investment. And that's it. And I charge, right now, I charge $25,000 per client for that, which is, for the mid-sized company is pretty good. For the Fortune 500 range, you know, typically I see $7,500 per month for a year. 6 months is low. Most coaches go for a 9 to 12 month contract. I just find that 6 months works for me. So you want to have the right package. We'll help you design it, but it's real simple. You know, it's basically how long do we meet? How often do we meet? What assessments do we do? What do we charge? You want to have that in your back pocket, ready to go. I also have a nice team retreat package ready to go, because often I'm asked to do that, as well as a retreat to solve a problem, like strategies, creating a strategic plan, or a change initiative that's stuck. And that usually includes coaching as well, okay? That's what I do, but there's plenty of types of packages. You want to charge by the solution. We're not plumbers. I don't care for coaches who charge hourly. They're commoditizing themselves. David asks, in your program, do you just give materials for students to study? No, we work with you. This is a boutique program. We can have a one-on-one call anytime you want, although, you know, I have office hours in the afternoon and in the morning. This is a highly personalized program. We have live webinars, and you can get one-on-one advice whenever you wish to have it. We don't just let you hang out there. When I first started, I wasn't charging $25,000 for 6 months. I'm embarrassed to say what I was charging, but over time I would gradually raise my rate and see what happened. And it turns out I'd lose some clients, but end up making more money, right? I think they call that the elasticity curve, but I was pleased to find. So my goal, what I would keep doing is find a price where I'm equally happy with a no or a yes. And that's what we advise you, right? There's no set menu of what you're supposed to charge. We can give you ranges of lows and highs for different types of organizations and levels of leaders. But ultimately, you just have to find a price where you're equally happy with a no or a yes for you. So you want to have the right package or pricing. You have to be ready with that, and we'll work with you to make that happen. My goal is to win 80 to 90% of the engagements that I try to win, right? If I'm winning 100%, I know I have to increase my pricing. I need to get a little bit of price resistance, or I know I'm not charging enough. Same with you. James says, could you share more about charging for the solution? So yeah, let's see here if we talk about it. Yeah, this is, in fact, this is a good way to go into it. Yeah, on the right, you see a photo of a cheesy salesperson. You don't want to be a cheesy salesperson. If you're going to charge for the solution, you basically need to know how to coach the client through the buying process. When someone contacts me and says, you know, Andrew, I think I want to work with you, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to sell them then. I'm not going to say, let me give you 3 reasons why you should work with me. I'm going to ask them, why'd you call? What's the issue? And I'm going to ask a series of questions to figure out if their problem's big enough to afford me. That's it. I'm looking for 5 to 10 times my fees, right? Like I'm looking for a $250,000 problem that they have. both through tangible and intangible costs. And if I see that there, I know I can charge by the solution. So you don't start with, here's my prices. You start with, tell me about your problem. You know, what's the impact of the problem on you? You know, on your organization, on your customers, on your team. What is your boss saying about it? You know, how much revenue are you losing? How much in cost is it costing you? If it went away, what would be the value to you? What about personally? Often you get hired not because of the tangible issues, the financial stuff or the productivity stuff, but because of the psychological impact it's having on the client, the emotions. They feel stressed, hassled, they're tired, they're feeling burned out. That can be priceless to them. So James, the way I charge for the solution is by asking questions to understand what their challenge is costing them and what the value would be if they could fix it, if it weren't there anymore. So I'm coaching them through the process. I'm just being a coach. Once I learned how to do this, once I learned how to focus my marketing, once I learned to be a good coach, everything started flowing. Because when someone came to me, I didn't have to pitch them anymore. If someone says, Andrew, give us a pitch about why coaching makes sense, I'll say, I don't do that. But what I can do is ask you some questions and we can see, is there a big enough problem for you to hire a coach? I'm also going to coach them on whether or not they have the money or they can get it. I'm not shy about that. I've learned how to have open, honest conversations. So if a client says to me, send me a proposal, I'm not going to do that until the client concludes or agrees that they want to hire me, they have the money, they can get the money. And if I send them a proposal that reflects everything we've discussed, they'll sign it. And I'll also ask, how do you see us working together? Because sometimes they want coaching, sometimes, you know, who knows what they want? Do they want consulting, coaching? How do they see us working together? And I'll say, look, one model is a coaching model. Is that what you had in mind? Okay. I don't ever write big proposals because I'm just going to coach them on it and see if they want to move forward. And if they do, I say, look, if I send you a couple of pages that summarizes this, will you sign off on it? And you know, what happens next? Okay. So the client is paying because they want to solve their problem. What coaching does is create the conversations and the structure so that the client can solve their problem. Okay, so coaching is about the client finding the solution. The coach helps. The coach helps by being a sounding board, by having areas of inquiry and questioning that moves the client forward. That's what coaching is. Okay, so you got to have the right package and pricing. You have to learn the natural conversations that close engagements. In our program, in your member area, there's demonstrations of coaching the client through the buying process. It's probably the best sales training you're ever going to get without it being about sales. As a coach, I've never seen a sales training before just for coaches. We offer it. It comes with your program. It's in your member area, and I'll role play with you one-on-one if you'd like before you have an engagement or when you have a conversation with a potential prospect. Any questions so far? So what have we done here? We've done be an excellent coach, have the right mindset, position yourself powerfully, right? Who are you? How can you be the go-to professional in a particular niche? And then write the marketing copy and messaging that compels people to want to find out more. 4, get visible in your market, right? You can't hide behind a desk if you're going to be successful. You have to be out there. 5, make sure you know your package and pricing. Again, this is, of all the steps, this is the easiest. 6, learn the natural conversations that close engagements. Erica's asking, if you want to be an internal coach, how do you build credibility within your organization? It's exactly the same way. You have to position yourself powerfully. In internal coaching, too many internal coaches are like, I'm the California Psychic Hotline. Just give me a call, I'll solve your problem. Or if you're thinking of firing someone, send them my way, I'll fix them. That's not what coaching is supposed to be internally. To be a good internal coach, you position yourself, you align yourself with the organization's most important strategic initiatives, and you show the organization how coaching can help. For instance, I worked with a global hedge fund that was growing at 20% a year. They didn't have enough managers to continue that growth. Coaching was a way to help help the organization grow, which was their most important strategic initiative. So I trained a lot of internal coaches, and those internal coaches were strategically important. They were seen as assets because their whole mission was to coach managers who could continue to grow the company. So that's the number one tip. Get the company's leadership on board for coaching, align yourself with their most important strategic initiatives, and take coaching seriously, not just as come on in, I'll talk to you for 5 minutes, but the same way an external coach would do it. Finally, 7, create a long-term relationship. The photo you see here is what I'll call the domino effect. I want to use this metaphor of dominoes, right? So your first client is a domino. That client can open up new opportunities for you, right? Continuing the coaching with the same client, providing perhaps new services for the same client, like new assessments or a strategic retreat or a retreat with their team about a big issue they're facing. And maybe the client refers you to someone else, whether inside or outside the organization, right? So again, my first 2 clients, a year later, I could trace back a pretty much full practice to those first 2 clients. Because of this domino effect, we show you how to do it. One of the keys is being able to solve a wide range of challenges that clients have. And as you saw from the toolkits I shared with you earlier, that's one of the things you're going to learn in the Center for Executive Coaching. Okay, so that's number 7, right? I know we talk about get that first client, but when you do, think long-term. You're listening for new opportunities. You're getting this, what I call the domino effect in motion, because that can set your practice up for ongoing success. It's so much easier to get a client through an existing client or get an engagement through an existing client than to be on this treadmill where you're sort of this one and done coach. You keep, you know, where sometimes I've seen coaches where it takes them longer to sell an engagement than to deliver an engagement. That's not right. You want to have a client for a long time, because as the client grows, you can coach them. As their organization grows, you can coach them. It's not about codependency. It's about being a trusted advisor to them. All right, what questions do you have? I'll take any questions you have through the chat, and then I want to share with you a little bit our member area, so you can actually see what you get and see the range of tools that are there for you. In fact, while we're waiting for questions about what you just heard, I hope you found it useful. In fact, let's just go through the 7 steps again. Again, remember my first 6 months. I want you to avoid this. There's no reason you have to go through what I went through. And you're going to avoid it first by being an excellent coach. Second, you need the mindset of a champion. You need the mindset of someone ready to push that boulder up the hill. 3, you're going to position yourself powerfully. You're not going to be just another generic commodity coach. Please don't do that. It's actually embarrassing to the industry to see how so many coaches market themselves so poorly, so weakly. 4, you're going to get visible in ways that attract clients. You're going to find 5 tactics that work for you, and you're going to keep doing them. You're going to budget time to keep doing them so that you have a ready pipeline of clients. But when you're first starting out, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to figure out what works. It can take some time. You need the right package and pricing. That's the easiest step, but you can't forget it. We show you how to price. We show you how to package. 6, sell without selling. Coach the client through the buying process so that when they contact you, you're not this sleazy salesperson on the right making a pitch. You are natural, you're authentic, and you figure out with the client whether or not there's a fit or not. And 7, create a long-term relationship. Okay, let me show you the member area. Ask any questions you have in the meantime. Just so you know, this is our pledge, okay? We are a boutique coaching, certification, and training organization. We want to be the best, not the biggest. Okay, so our pledge is when you join us, we're going to make sure you get the best content, the best support ongoing, the best members. That's who we're attracting. Okay, I'm pretty careful to screen out people that I think should go to a life coaching program, for instance. Second, you know, we're all about your success. You are a member with us ongoing. Okay, so we support your success long after. We have people who come on our webinars and our classes 10 years after. they've graduated, who contact us with a new marketing initiative they're doing and want support on that. Number 3, I'll personally respond to your questions. Anytime you want to talk, we can talk, whether it's about your marketing strategies, a new coaching program, a tough client. All of this is accredited through the ICF, whether you're looking for CEUs or to get a designation. And number 4 on our pledge, there's a lot of programs that will teach you the ICF core competencies. That's obviously important. We go way beyond that. We're going to show you proven ways to get results for clients, which is very different. So we want you to be in the top 5% of coaches worldwide in terms of the results you get, the quality of clients you're working with, the income you're earning. And finally, our pledge is that our robust tools and solutions, and again, I'll show you what they are in a minute, our marketing guidance are all there and unmatched in their scope, breadth, quality, level of support. Okay. Yeah, Frank here says, I took his call myself as his first call. So, all right, let me show you the member area. Here's 2 more. Here, I didn't want to name the competitors, but we had a recent graduate who says, this is so much better than the materials or curriculum I received from one competitor, much less practical, and a second competitor she named. So she'd been through a couple of coach programs, never found what she wanted. And the second one she said was incredibly basic. And then here, I love this one. I graduated from Harvard and Columbia. I learned more from the Center for Executive Coaching than I did from any professors at those schools. Great teacher and great methodology. Okay, let me get you, I see a couple of questions here, which I'll take. Let me just get you to the member area so you can see that, and then I'll answer any questions you have in the meantime. Okay, here we go. So here's our member area. This is what you'll see when you become a member. All right. Diane says, does it make sense to have multiple marketing statements to cover a range of skills? We work with you on that. I would need to know more about your umbrella statement, about who you are, who you help, what the primary benefit is. But just as one example, one could imagine a website where you position yourself as, let's say, the leading leadership coach to women in technology, right? To women leaders in technology. And then you could imagine 3 boxes. Click here if you're a new leader and you want to make sure you succeed, right? Or click here if you're in a new role and you want to make sure you succeed. Click here if you're not satisfied with the results your team is getting, right? Maybe there's some team coaching. Click here if, something else, you have a change initiative that you're leading and it's not going the way you want, right? So you could see having 3, the beauty of a website is you could have boxes that people click. I wouldn't do more than 3. And so people can click depending on, which of the problems calls to them. So there's a lot of ways to do it. And we work with you on that. Anyway, let's say you just joined our program and this is our orientation. There's an orientation video right in the member area. But, I just want to show you what sets us apart because I think it's pretty substantial. Right. So first, we're going to take you through, here's an orientation video. You can join all of our webinars anytime. Below that, we have the schedule. We have 6 one-hour live webinars every week. Each one stands on its own. We typically teach in small mini modules, different coaching situations. We have about 6 hours on what we call active inquiry. So you're going to master the foundational coaching conversation. And, you can just see what happens when you click. You could come to our live webinars or just go right down each webinar. And you can click them and you can watch what we do. And we take you through step by step how to be a great coach. Okay, here's 6, here's a 7th one. And then we have some previous ones as well. Then we get into the process of coaching. And we have 4 hours of webinars on how to set up an engagement, including documents, right? You get all the documents on the coaching process, 1-page coaching plan, different types of coaching processes. And you can see we take you through that. Then one of you is asking what third-party assessment tools have most benefited your clients? Well, we're going to take you on a survey course on that. I'll share with you what I use. I like the profile suite of tools as well as the Genos emotional intelligence right now, as well as a couple of proprietary approaches we have in our program. But you'll see there's webinars on the top assessment tools that are out there in the market so that you know what they are and you can choose the one that works best for you. Okay, look at that. So that's all there. And then you're ready to go. By the way, all of our current webinars are recorded. So you could go through 90 hours of content at your pace. The question is, what time are our live webinars? We have 3 tracks now. And no matter what time zone you're in, there's a track that will work for you. One track is 7 to 8 p.m. New York time. Mondays, I hope I get this right, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I teach the 1 to 2 p.m. New York time one, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And in about a month, we're launching one at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time as well. And Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, or Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays, something like that. But no matter what time zone you're in, one of these will work, and they're all recorded. At the same time, once we get through these foundations, you have a whole library with ongoing access to any problem a client's going to have. So let's say a client is concerned because their engagement scores aren't high. You get a whole, an executive summary of how to coach a client on this. You get a methodology that's probably about 50 pages long, includes areas of inquiries and questions you can ask with the client, what to cover. There's even a slide deck if you get to do a keynote speech or a presentation. And then you see our webinars where we take you through the content in depth. We practice, we demonstrate. Let's see, here we even had a special guest speaker who comes from a healthcare advisory company, and he did a nice presentation on an organization where he got real improvements in engagement. So we're always adding to the content as we go. So you can see whether the client has to improve behavior, change some perceptions, communicate more effectively, influence, do these high stakes conversations better, overcome overwhelm via time and priority management, leadership and executive presence, coaching on the personal domains, that work-life flow, improve their network of relationships, how they interact up, down, and across, and so on. We even have a bundle on career coaching and coaching the growing business. Okay, so that's what's there. We have a seminar coming up, as always. We've just opened registration for that. Spots will go quickly. The way to get on board is, we can schedule a call anytime, but you can click here for any of them. If in doubt, there's our online certification or distance learning, which has the live webinars. We have our 3-day certification seminar. Our next one is March 24th through the 26th, if you can make it. Or you can join our ICF program and our distance learning program. The seminar counts towards that as well, okay? So let me go back and take any questions you have about anything, whether it's coaching or our program. Again, my request is, if you're interested and you'd like to see if there's a fit, you're interested in our May seminar, 3-day seminar to get our certification that you see here, or our online program, take a look at our website, centerforexecutivecoaching.com. We can set up a meeting. Again, there's no application with our program. The people who join us, you've been through enough applications. I just want to talk to you and see if there's a mutual fit. I can tell really quickly whether you're right for this program or not, and I'll answer any questions for you to find out if you're right, if we're right for you. And you can see my email right there. It's on our website under the Contact Us or info@centerforexecutivecoaching.com. Okay, let me take this off record. Thank you to those who have listened to the recording. I hope you'll reach out. And let me take any questions you have about marketing, growing your practice, or coaching.